And are you refreshed? Good. You're ready. Right here.
Hello, Abraham. It's a great pleasure to be here. You should call this the cool seat, because this is too cool. 90 days. 90 days. From the moment I started listening to you, I knew this is what I was here for. And it's been an incredible journey. Really incredible. I don't know the person I was 6 months ago, and it's been extraordinarily joyful. I was depressed and sad, and it's turned my life around, and my wife's. We've enjoyed the journey very much.
It's good to know who you are. And even if you find yourself in a moment not really tuned to who you are, it's nothing to worry about, because you know once you get there once, you can do it again, yes?
Yes. I love to love. I love to help people. This is all I want to do. I've had a career, successful, brought me some joy, but it wasn't fulfilling. But as I said, I knew this is what I was meant for. It was from the moment I started listening to you.
You said something really important, and we're going to stop on it for just a moment, because you said, I love to love. And we think that that is such an important awareness, because what you're saying is, I love to tune into who I am, which is love. And I love that feeling of love to flow through me toward my object of attention. And there are a lot of people who so want to be loved that don't know the power of loving, because it's that tuning into who you are. And it brings us back around to something, Jerry and Esther were talking about it in the dressing room, that awareness that most people are comparing their physicality one to another, and therefore wanting to be loved, where when you get it, that your work is to tune to who you are, which means tune to the love that is you, then you can flow it always. So now, as a teacher and an uplifter and a healer who assists others in feeling better, who loves to love, what happens to someone who loves to love when they're looking at someone who's experiencing a discouragement or a catastrophe? What power does one who wants to love have when you're looking at someone who isn't easy to love?
I know in some experiences I've had very recently, I've had to deal with some people that are very far out of the vortex, very unhappy in their own life. And I realized that I was able to separate myself from that and focus my attention on them and bring love to them, whether they were ready to accept it or not. But yet it was in all situations where I've been able to do that, it has softened them, and then that's come back to me. And that's one of the most pleasurable things I've ever done.
The question that we have for you, and this is not a test. We know you have the answer, but it's such a good discussion that we want to hear your experiential explanation of it. Once you tune into this vortex and you know who you are, and then you see someone who is having a negative experience, and you don't allow yourself to see that aspect of their life. Instead, you take the other side of the wave. So you don't sacrifice your alignment for the sake of helping them. You maintain your alignment. Do you believe that all of them are ready to receive you?
No.
And And so then what do you do? If they're not ready to receive you, then what is your best work?
By example, to hold myself in that place where they see me time after time.
But what about, do you believe that the situation that they're living does have a bounce side to it?
Without question.
And do you think that if you maintain your perspective inside the vortex, that you can see it?
Yes.
Well, we don't, and that was a trick question. But the reason we're putting it this way, because you're right on something really important. In other words, they'll show you, and you can see with your own eyes where they're at. And there's a flip side to that, which is in their vortex, which source and their inner being and your inner being are all working on. But you can't see it unless you're in the vortex. And even though you can see it, they can't. But what's the advantage of you seeing something and using your words of description that they can't see? They're more likely to believe. They're more likely to find the feeling of it. In other words, if you can't fake it. That's really the point that we're making. And we don't think you have been, and we don't think you are. That's not what this conversation is about. We just want to bring home the point in a very strong way that when you've tuned yourself into the vortex, let's start again. It would seem illogical that someone tuned in, tapped in, turned on would be enough of a vibrational match to somebody who's really struggling that law of attraction would put you together. That's worth thinking about, isn't it?
Yes.
So what are the components that are present that would cause you, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, to be having a co-creative experience with someone who's having a really hard time? What's the element that is within you that is present? I'm an uplifter. I want to help people. I'm a teacher. I put that desire over here into my vortex. So, because I want to help them, law of attraction. So here's someone, it's like someone needs money. I've got money. It's logical that you would have a conversation. Someone's sick. You have a methodology for bringing wellness about it. It's logical that law of attraction would bring you together. They have needs. You have desires to help people who have needs. It's logical that law of attraction would bring you together. But the piece that we want to give you is that you, knowing all of this, you must be diligent about your attention to your vortex. Because when you've decided, as you have, and we are not arguing with it, because there are a lot of people in this room who have come to uplift and help other people. That's really what teachers are all about. But if you get it, that observation of their life experience will create a different vibration in you than what's inside the vortex. So you can't look with very much detail at where they are. Or they're out of the vortex vibration will become dominant in you, and you'll lose your alignment, and then you'll have nothing for them, and you'll feel bad, and in time you will become discouraged about this life's purpose that you have reconnected with. So that's why we're having this conversation. How do you think a person who's really tuned in, tapped in, turned on, who really knows the power of their beingness, even though they're not living it and they can't see it, how do you think such a person would come off to them? In other words, if you know that well-being is theirs and they don't know it, and you know it, what do you think their response to you might be?
Probably not very good.
Attack.
Yeah.
Or they'll try to convince you, because clearly you don't know what you're talking about, because you're not willing to look at the details of their life enough. So then what might you do? In other words, a woman said to us one day, we were guiding her about a good way to respond to her son. And her response to us was, Abraham, my son will think I have forsaken him. My son will feel like I've abandoned him. He's used to me being there for him. And we said what we always say, if you're out of the vortex, you have nothing to give anyway. But this is the part that we really want you to hear. When you have practiced the flip side of the vibrational wave, when you've taken the bounce like their inner being did, like your inner being always does, even though they didn't. And so you are thinking about the details of their life on the other side of it. Detail by detail, the inside the vortex side of it. What happens is you convey to them things that can get their attention. In other words, no one, if you were to say to someone briefly, I know it's been hard for you, but I sense good things coming to you. They might say blah, 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 blah. As you go on to say, I think I know you, and I have a really good feeling about the strength of your being. They would say less blah, blah, blah. Because you're talking generalities, not specifics. I know things will turn around for you. I've seen it so many times before. Now you're not even talking about them, but you're optimistic. My gut, my intuitiveness just makes me trust that it's going to be all right for you. And I like how you're hanging in there. I see a strength in you that I know will carry you through this. You see what we're getting at? In other words, you're using these from inside the vortex words in a general way that they are less likely, because it's a rare person when you're holding them as your object of attention and you're tuned into source and you're spewing to them your positive expectation about them in general terms. They are more likely to receive it than to debate it. If you get specific, they'll debate it. If you get specific, because they've got the facts and they've got them at their fingertips and they've been practicing them. Right. So if you debate them with specifics, they will drag you out of the vortex. But as you debate with the power of your alignment, as you debate with your knowledge that it is right for them to feel good. I hear you, man, you could say. It is so wrong for you to be in this predicament. Things should be going better for you. That's who you are. You were born to live a good life. I believe so much in that. Things should be better for you than they are. That's the way it should be. I'm so happy that we know each other, because I feel elation at knowing who you are. I think your life is serving you extremely well. In other words, you'll know how much Abraham dialogue you can give to them. You don't want to appear to be the inside the vortex freak that you really are. If someone's not ready to take it.
Happens all the time.
Good. Something more?